mine. I never pose over on merchandise. Ever.
Screens.
Good evening, sir.
You'll never see me holding something like merchandise to try and sell it. Ever.
Does it look green to you, Tom, in the background?
What?
Does my background look green to you?
Yes.
Yeah. Color balance is off.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey there, it's Foster.
What'd I do with that?
1 out of 2 isn't bad. Is that what you said, Bill?
Hey, Chet, you hear me? It's Mike.
Yes.
Good. What a
I can't
deal.
see you, but I can hear you.
Yeah, let's see. I'm just, yeah.
Hey, guys.
No phone or no video today. Hey, Alan.
Hey, I'm trying to figure out why my screen is green in the background. My white balance is off.
St. Patrick's Day early.
Maybe
Yeah.
it was something you ate.
So you disabled the screen sharing.
I disabled it?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't allow me to share my screen.
I may have hit it by accident. Hold on.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yep.
Oh.
Mike.
Little weak, but you're good. Ooh, look at that. Desktop. Can you guys see my screen? As
Yes.
they say?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
I was going to show you this, what I have here. If I can find it, shit. Oh, there it is. Well, maybe. All right, so this is a different machine I'm working on now. I've lost it.
So Mike,
There we go.
where are we going to say? I got smart this time. I turned around and I automatically enabled recording when the session starts.
Great.
Nice.
Yeah. Hey, what do you got going on, Mike?
Yeah, so this is antenna I have at home, G5RV.
Yeah.
And I hooked up my MM2000 tuner to it to measure the SWR versus frequency.
Right.
And then I put the Nano VNA on there.
Right.
So it looks like they track close together, and they're really fairly close together.
Yeah.
So
Who to trust?
who do I trust?
Hmm.
I don't know. What do you think?
Trust but verify.
Yeah, so I think it's fairly close. I mean, it'd be nice to have a bird or something to throw in there, but
Well, you can always throw mine on there and check it out.
yeah. Let's see now. How do I stop this? Oh, stop sharing. Yeah. Ah, there we go. Now you should have the screen, huh? Right?
Yep. We're good.
There's Professor Frank.
Hello.
Hey, Frank.
Hello. Good evening to all.
Hey, Frank.
You get an antenna put back up, Frank?
No, I have a wire antenna up, but I sold off the tower and the beam, and
Oh. After the tree fell?
after the tree fell, yeah. It was a shockaroo, I'll tell you that.
I'm sure.
Chet, hard to check in today on the net, but you're kind of weak. And then we kind of lost you.
Well, I was really busy today with a lot of different things. I checked in. I only have 5 watts of indoor antenna, so it's not real solid, I guess, into the repeater. But at 9:30, I was busy until 11:30, and I ate lunch. And then at 12:30, I had another meeting on a Zoom meeting. And at 2 o'clock, I got my second COVID shot. So I've been kind of busy today. I hope everything went all right, Tom.
Yeah, everything went pretty good. We had a pretty good turnout, and we practiced some FLDG and some peer-to-peer, and everything went pretty good.
I'm sorry that I couldn't participate more, but I just didn't have time today.
That's quite all right. At least you got checked in. That was the main thing.
Well, I figured at least the check-in was all the least I could do.
Program Director. Mr. Program Director.
Yes.
A lot of noise right now. Sounds like it's the wall. What's the what is our program for tonight?
SimSmith.
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 Ah, gotcha. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Frank is presenting tonight.
Smith charts. Oh joy, that reminds me of my old school days.
There you go.
I think you need some light back there. That's what you need.
Yeah. I actually think I have a camera adjustment. I can't turn it on. It would fix this all. You know that. Do you remember seeing the last week that lawyer with the cat, Texas? They had that avatar that actually pops up, and it captures your facial and your eye and mouth movement, and it puts a avatar like a cat or a dog. You haven't seen that? That was on the news.
No, I'm good.
You guys see a speaking lawyer, and there's a cat there. It's a cat speaking, to a judge. So I have the same avatar. I was going to play a little with you guys, but apparently it would not have gone over very well because nobody's actually seen that report. So
I heard about it, but I didn't see it.
that's cute.
It would have worked if your avatar was a ham.
Aha.
My laptop's not seeing my camera. I tried to disconnect and reconnect, but it doesn't. It's not just Zoom. The whole laptop doesn't see it. Sorry.
So we'll just have to imagine how handsome you are.
Exactly. Don't overestimate.
Okay. Actually, I was in the office today for the first time all day. I couldn't tell you when it was the last time I was in all day. Felt good. Felt good to get me out and speaking with people, face to face as opposed to virtual. So hopefully maybe by the summer we might be able to at least start thinking about a hybrid meeting.
Well, I think we just saw Chet's got 2 shots, so he's probably the field day chairman this year now.
Maybe the only one, but hey. I think everybody, actually by June, I think everybody's going to have 2 shots.
It'll be
I hope so.
I'm going to say, Chet, move the antenna to the left.
We do need to decide whether or not we want to try to reserve the school.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up. I know we'll speak about that. I guess that would be something we should talk about in new business. But yeah, it definitely has crossed my mind this week about field day. Now is the time to start thinking about if we're going to do, even if we're going to do it, virtual, what can we improve upon what we did last year, right? I think we did a pretty good attempt at what we had and the time we had to do it. So maybe we can put some more thought into it this year. Maybe we can, fix a few things, that weren't quite right. But like I said, I definitely would hope we can get outside because, it was fun setting up the antenna. Mike and I set up the antenna over there, Bill's property. But outside of that, there was really no feeling of a field day,
Yeah.
So, Alan, there was a lot of soldiers on post today.
Yeah.
Some kind of exercise going on.
I had in our building today, just to share, usually we average about 40 people in the building with the COVID restrictions,
Yeah.
and we can seat up to about 600, And today we had well over 350 people in the building, so which worries a lot of folks, but it was pretty well handled in our facilities.
The soldiers are pretty good about,
Oh, yeah.
discipline.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I gotta worry.
Yeah, they were all having. The line was very long at the subway today to get lunch.
I was there last week. I'm laughing because I wish people could see our subway on Aberdeen Proving Ground, but it's probably the only place you can actually eat. It's pretty decent, and it's bad enough that it's the only place. But then when you are the only place, and they put the 6-foot restriction on the line goes out the door. We're only 10 people. So. I got to see my boss, General Collins, today. I haven't seen him in a long time.
So I'm running, this is a different laptop. I'm running Red Hat 8 on this laptop. That's why my audio, yeah, that's why I don't have a red hat on though. That's why my video is different, because I don't have a camera hooked up. I just have the little thing here. It seems to work.
We see you
What
now.
made you decide to use Red Hat Linux?
What's that?
What made you decide to use Red Hat?
I'm sorry, Chet just needs a red hat. This would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Mine's black.
I don't know. I just experimenting with different things. I mean, this laptop I've had Ubuntu on it and
Okay,
stuff like that. So I just tried this one out, see how this one is.
gotcha. I'm never that brave with production laptops. I have my machine that like stays untouched, and I don't do anything to it. And I've got other computers that I run stuff on. So you're braver than I am.
Yeah, yeah. This was an old company one, but it had 10 on it, and so I put that on there. I had Ubuntu before that, but it seems to work okay. It's a lot different. The software is so much different on this than a Windows system.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, now that's a good picture.
Yeah, we have a lawyer aboard.
It could be worse. I could be doing this during the meeting.
I like that.
Gee.
All right.
Wow.
It's more well lit than your real picture.
I was going to say, actually, I brought up the settings because I can actually like zoom in a little, and I can actually play with the camera settings here.
Yeah, you look like the guy, that anonymous guy without the face thing, with the green background and everything. Does he?
Yeah, I actually
I
have,
like that one, Chet.
on one of my teams. I have a black background and I wear a black shirt, right? And all you see is my face.
Chet's got the red hat with black. He's a black hatter.
So much fun with all these buttons and toys. Here we go. Let's see. Let's bring the brightness up.
So Foster, you ever play with virtual machines at all?
Yes.
Ever do with this?
Yeah.
Oh God, that's my life.
Yeah, I've been messing with those and different operating systems, and I played with Ubuntu for a long time, and then I put it full time on a laptop. This one here, and now I'm doing the Red Hat thing. So
Okay.
Yeah,
Most
but
of
those
that-
VMs are fun because you can always go back real quick. I
Yep.
like that. You screw
Playing with
something up.
VMs for over 25 years.
Have you? Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah,
You do
almost
it,
all this
Alan.
Army software I write and work on is on virtual machines. Everything's virtualized.
We do is in containers now.
Yeah, well, they're
I
they're
do
moving
that
that way.
too.
That too, right?
Containers, OVAs. I'm getting tired of that stuff.
Actually, for us in the military, it's godsend. You have no idea it's a godsend. So
I've fielded hardware out in Afghanistan, and I can tell you it's no fun.
yeah,
Because
especially
for some reason, the soldiers will bring in a laptop, but they've already put it on their domain. There's absolutely nothing I can do with that box anymore. They gotta re-roll it with brand new OS, and then we can stick our software on it for you guys. Then you stick it on your domain, and it gets locked up tight as
Yeah.
so our biggest problem in the military is the fact that we have this thing called accreditation, which is similar to, I'm sure, industry where you have to worry about security scans. But it gets even worse because in the security scanning side, you can actually have software scanned and actually verified that it's, it doesn't have any cyber threat into it. What is this thing doing?
Zooming in on you.
Zoom that out, man.
Yeah, really.
Right?
Jesus Christ. You brush your teeth today?
Nice.
So anyway, the biggest problem we have is we're sitting there making, you have to get the software accredited. And then what happens is you go and you take it deployed. And if you don't have you have to have it reaccredited on the network in which you're posturing it on. So you could be on a network in Afghanistan, and we call it the G6 or the J6 will say, J6 will say, you can't put that on my network until it's scanned. So it's the logistics is a nightmare.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to fix this thing. We'll get this meeting started.
There you go. And that's what I do. The school district doesn't let me put the robotics programming tools on it. So everybody has a small VM that I can load that and they can jump in there and do their thing. And then it comes off of there. So that works.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So mistrusting, They used to have that thing. It was a government thing. Was a DIACAP.
Right. That's old. Now it's called resource management framework.
Yeah.
Which is it's actually better. It's gotten better for that reason.
There's still a pain in the ass to deal with.
Well, obviously in the military we have to take it very serious. I'm not saying in industry you shouldn't, but in the military, obviously, we're dealing with defense.
It's not money on the line; it's lives.
Lives, right?
Yeah.
So
we have problems with small PCs and PLCs that go in our equipment that go into hospitals on military bases.
Right.
They're all over that shit all the time.
They have to be. It's a requirement.
Not even on their network. It's a standalone PC. Nope. Too bad.
Welcome. I guess a February event, February First State Amateur Radio Club meeting monthly. If this is not where you need to be, please exit. I guess I'm opening up, after our meeting tonight, Frank N3FG, longtime member here, is going to give us a presentation on SimSmith. Everything you needed to know about Smith charts, but you're afraid to ask.
I have a point of order.
Excuse me?
I have a point of order.
You have a point of order.
So last month we talked about doing the presentation first and then doing the meeting after the presentation finished in an hour. And we agreed that we would talk about that first this month, to see if that's how we wanted to proceed or whether or not we would do the regular order of the meeting.
I am open to dialogue on this one. I mean, I'm flexible. It's still going to be a 2-hour meeting no matter what. Usually, as we said, we usually extend. We were talking about this last week for the folks who weren't on the call last week. It was really for folks we invited, but it doesn't mean we do it all the time. So I see we got 1 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. Anyone else? Should we start with the presentation? 3?
I'll go for it.
Okay. Well, you'll be our test case, Frank. How's that?
Fine.
And I'm getting zoomed in again, and I thought I fixed this. As you can see, I'm very animated here. So why don't we do that? I guess the logistics thing, we'll go ahead and we'll, I guess I just introduced Frank. Frank, I already have set up the screen for sharing. Can you grab the screen? See this screen share at the bottom? There you go.
We getting through?
You are through. That looks
good.
Wow.
How do I get rid of the pictures on the right side of my screen?
There is a way of doing that.
Taking up a lot of real estate.
Hit the minimize button at the top of the toolbar there.
Yeah.
Just above my forehead should be the little dash there.
Where it says view, you can change it to just
there.
Yeah.
You have to move the mouse on top of that grouping, Frank.
Okay. New share, pause share up there.
No, on the right
Just
hand.
minimize.
Off to your right, you see the screen, the faces.
Yeah.
Just bring your cursor to the top panel of those faces, and it should highlight it. It'll open up.
Top panel. Oh, I've got my picture in the top picture.
Yeah. So
okay.
you should see a panel. You should see
Says resize window.
You want to minimize the little underline dash thing.
Oh yeah, okay. I
There
got
you
you.
go.
There we go. That does it. Just tells me I'm talking, and I knew that.
can you live with that?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, sir. It's all yours.
All right. I got my second shot today, so it's a good thing we're doing this early. I may fall asleep. Is my audio coming through?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I started to do a little research on this a while back, and I realized I gave a presentation on Smith charts 10 years ago. I didn't even know I was in the club that long.
Oh yeah.
But
I still have the paper.
okay. Well, anyway, I'm sure some of you know all about Smith charts and some may not, so we'll try to keep it fairly simple. This program is called SimSmith, and it was put together by Ham AE6TY. It's free. It's got lots of documentation, and it's pretty easy to use. And it takes a lot of the drudgery out of working with a Smith chart. First of all, you don't need the paper Smith charts anymore. You can do everything right here on the screen as you see it. And this is pretty much what comes up when you first install it. This is a new file. And if you look to the left, you start out with a simple little circuit. You have a source and a load. And you can control the frequency of the source and the impedance of the source. And you can see right now I have 10 megahertz and 50 ohms. The load, right now I have 50 ohms, resistive and nothing reactive. And if you look over at the Smith chart, you'll see we're right in the middle of the Smith chart. And if you have a load like that, you don't need a Smith chart.
It would be a great place.
There you go. But the Smith chart is for a load that's not a perfect match. If you have a load that's not a perfect match and you want to know what's happening, then you can use a Smith chart. And this particular Smith chart is much, much easier to use than the old paper Smith charts where you need the compass and the straight edge and a pencil and all that stuff. If you look over at the Smith chart, you'll see two sets of coordinates. You'll see red and blue. The red coordinates are for impedances, if you know what an impedance is, and the blue ones are for admittances. And you really don't have to know what either one of them is, except in general terms. But if you look down in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see right now it says SWR is 1.000. That's because we're right in the middle of the Smith chart. That's the honey spot. You'll see something called R, which we're not going to do anything with tonight. That's the reflection coefficient. You hear that term used now and then. You'll see Z, which is the impedance, says it's 50 ohms. And you see Y, which is the admittance, that's 1 over the impedance, is 20 millisiemens. That's 1 over 0.02, so you get 50. Now we're going to use the blue coordinates, or no, I'm sorry, the red coordinates, if we're going to put in series elements. We're going to build a circuit up there in the left-hand corner in a minute. And you use the blue coordinates if you're putting in parallel elements. And we're just going to put in a piece of transmission line tonight and one parallel element. We'll keep things simple. This program will let you do a lot of things. You can design filters and matching stubs and all kinds of things with it. And there's a lot of information on the net. There's one ham, I forget what his name is, but if you do a search on SimSmith, he'll come up and he has, I'd say roughly 6 to 10 lessons on doing various operations with SimSmith. Also, the creator of SimSmith has some lessons. So it's pretty easy to learn. It's kind of fun to play with, even if you don't need it. And it gives you a good feel for what happens as you move along a transmission line from the load back to the source or from the source toward the load. So let's make this a little more interesting. Let's change the load to 200 ohms real. If I can do this, there we go. Now I'm up in the upper left-hand corner there. Okay, now you see my load jumped over to the right. It jumped over to R equals 200. X is still 0 because when I'm on, I call it the equator, the line that runs straight across the center, left to right, is all the values of resistance that you can have, from very small on the left to very large on the right. And if I take that, my mouse and I go over and I click, you'll see down in the lower right-hand corner, I now have an SWR of 4. That's not a very good match. It says Z is 200 ohms and Y is 5 millisiemens. Okay, let's take a piece. Let me back up here for a second. We're going to need an inductor later on. It just so happens that a shorted piece of transmission line, less than a quarter wave long, looks like an inductor. And I can have almost any value of inductance I want, from very small to very large. And if you want to remember how it goes, just look above it. I can use a real inductor, or I can use a shorted transmission line as an inductor. Should I need a capacitor, we're not going to use any tonight, but should I, an open circuit stub. And it does the same thing as the capacitor above it. Here I have transmission line. So let's take that up and stick it between the load and the source. We'll go over here. And now we have a piece of transmission line. And you can see here, if we look, the source is still the same, still 10 megahertz, 50 ohm output impedance. The load's still the same, still 200 ohms, no reactance. But I have a transmission line in there now. It's 45 electrical degrees long, which is a quarter of the way around the Smith chart. Go all the way around the Smith chart. If I kept adding cable, I'd come back to where I started from in 1/2 wavelength. So right now we're at 45 degrees. We're a quarter of the half. What's that? An 1/8 wavelength. The length of that piece of stub is 8.197 feet. The kind of cable I'm using is something called simplified. The velocity factor is almost 0.67. The cable has a characteristic impedance of 50 ohms. It's losing 0.5 dB per 100 feet, and it's at 10 megahertz, which is what we're working at right now anyway. Okay, if anybody has any questions as we move along, please give a shout. Okay, let's, if I want to, I can take this and I can drag it around. Or can I? Yes, I can, but I'm going to do it a different way. Let's go up here to the length. And if you get down to this bar here, you can move it along. Oh, going the wrong way. There we go. There I go the other way, and I'll take bigger steps. Oops, we back up a little bit. Now, that's 1/2 wavelength I've moved. My transmission line there is 1/2 wavelength. And notice it didn't come back to exactly where I started. Theoretically, it would. Practically, it doesn't, because I have loss in my cable. And if I kept going around and around, I'd spiral into the center eventually. And I wouldn't have any signal at all getting to the load. So the fact that your SWR gets better doesn't mean you have a better match. It could be you're just losing more power.
So this
Okay.
this would be a great application, right, for practical uses to say, you take your transmission line and you're basically looking at to see what the phasing of your transmission line would be over a distance.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can do a lot of things with this, and it's so easy. You used to have to stop and calculate all these things. Let me go back around here.
That's really handy.
It's easiest if I probably just put the degrees in here. My hand used to be steadier at one time. Let's get rid of this.
Can you update the feet so if I know that I have 75 feet of transmission line, I can put that in?
Can I update it? Yeah, just a second. Let me put this 45.
I don't want to ruin your demo, but I was interested.
Yeah, you can put the length in there.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
That's another nice thing about it. Let's say you know what kind of transmission. Matter of fact, it's best if you know what kind of transmission line you have. See where it says simplified here? Let's go get a real transmission line. There you go. Now here's Belden. Let's go RG58. Old RG58. Looks like there's 3 versions of it. Let's take the one that's 50 ohms.
Oh, this is nice.
Now we have RG858 in there. See it up here? Under the circuit. And that's what you would have with 40. In this case, now we're down to 44 degrees. Let me take it back to 45 again. Not for any particular reason, just up. Hit the button too many times there. There we go. Okay, so there's 45 degrees of RG58. And notice it doesn't quite make a quarter of the way around that anymore. It has a little different velocity factor. Okay, anybody have any questions so far? This will just give you a taste of what you can do. By no means tonight are we going to cover everything you can do with SimSmith. And I doubt very much I know everything you can do with SimSmith at this point in time. I just started playing with it myself back in the springtime, and it's just on and off. So,
but this would definitely this is an example use case, Frank, where and I think Foster was kind of alluding to is that I can actually take an exact measure of my transmission line, and I know my transmission, my transceiver impedance, my antenna impedance, and we could actually get a real. I mean, obviously you can pull up an antenna analyzer to do something like this, but the idea you can actually cut the length of your coax. It actually gives you a better phasing.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can go either way.
Right.
I'm going clockwise, which is from the load to the source.
Mm-hmm.
If you go counterclockwise, you're going from the source to the load in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, clockwise is toward the source, counterclockwise is toward the load. So depending on where you know your impedance, and probably most of the time, if you have an antenna analyzer, you're going to know the impedance in the shack. Right. I have a little example here we'll go to in a minute. And it's taken from QST. I don't know if anybody remembers it, but it was back February a year ago. There was an article in there where a guy, he wanted to operate a certain frequency on 80 meters, and his equipment would not match the impedance that he had. And he did his with paper and pencil, if I remember correctly. And he had 3 or 4 pages tied up in QST. And we'll see that with SimSmith, it could be done in 4 or 5 minutes, the whole problem.
Wow.
So it's a nice advantage. And we'll see this down in the center bottom part there. You see something called path. And we're going to see what that's for when we get to the example. I think maybe at this point I'll leave this one and go to the example. Anybody have any questions on this before I dump it? Oh, no, I know. Let me do one more thing. I want to get to the center here. That's the honey spot. And it just so happens, if I keep extending this piece of transmission line, I can come over and hit that blue curve. Excuse me. And that blue curve represents a constant conductance. In other words, I have an admittance, and the real part of it is a constant conductance. And if I add an inductor, and we're going to add a shorted transmission stub, it'll slide me right up this blue line, right to the center, right up here. So let's do that. I'll just do it roughly here. I won't fool around with it. Okay, now you see my SWR's dropped a little bit, 4 down to 3.7. And what I like to do now is slide up this line. And I know I can do that with some inductance. So I'm going to go down here and get some inductance. I'll get this guy here. It's usually more convenient to use a shorted stub than to actually wind an inductor to do the job. So we're going to bring him up here. Oh, I lost him for some reason. I'll try it again. There we go. Okay. Now you can see it started to move me up the line here to where I want to go. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to take this inductor 45 degrees and tweak it a little bit. Now I'm going the wrong way again. Oh, I lost it. Let me try this. There we go. Okay, I'm up pretty close to a perfect match right now. If we go over here and look, my SWR now at the generator is 1.032. I don't think anybody complain about that. But we can tweak that in even better. We can come over here and play with these. And if I use the arrows on the inside here, I won't move much. I will see what happens. That's getting worse. I'm looking at the SWR in the upper left-hand corner. 3229. But it's getting worse again, so we'll go back here a little bit. That was pretty good there, I guess. And I can tweak this guy here a little bit if I want. I just highlight it and see what happens. That's getting worse. Oops, too far. Okay, as you can see, you can keep playing with it and honing it in. Chances are you can't make the cables that accurately anyway. So that'll give you a little idea of what you can do. We started out over here on the right at 200 ohms, and by putting in 2 pieces of cable, our impedance is now over here almost exactly at 50 ohms. Let me click on that. You can see down in the lower right-hand corner, the SWR is almost 1-to-1. The impedance is now almost 50 ohms, 49.5, and just a tiny bit of reactance. So, and I could have gone the other way. I could have shortened my cable. Say I had excess cable coiled up on the floor. I could have shortened my cable and gone around this way and hit up here somewhere, and then put in some capacitance. And that would have brought me down in that direction. So it's all kinds of things you can do. Let's leave this one and go to the QST example.
By the way, as you're doing that, I noticed it's written in Java.
Yeah, I think I saw that somewhere. I didn't really know for sure what it was written in, but
Java code looks like.
okay, this is the QST example. Pretty much what I just did. He had a Z of 135 minus J90. He put in a piece of transmission line. Let me go back here to this. Okay. He put in a piece of transmission line, brought him over here. And then he put in some inductance, a little shunt piece of transmission line. It brought him right up to the center pretty much. You can see that right now we're at, let's see, 1.003 to 1 SWR. And you wouldn't want to tinker with it any further than that. It's about almost perfect, unless you're a sadist, in which case you can sit there and probably play for half an hour and sneak it in even closer. There is a thing available called parameters, and you can keep increasing the number of digits. So if you were some kind of a sadist and you like to play with numbers and get closer and closer, you can go there and get it as fine as you want. Chances are you're not going to be able to make the lines any better than this anyway. This was in the February 2020 QST. If you save your QSTs, and you can go in there and look. And he was using RG8X. You can see here we have RG8X. It has a velocity factor of 0.82, which is pretty fast for coax. It's 50 ohm. And the K0, K1, and K2 are parameters that you get from the cable manufacturer. So they just come up automatically. When you click on the cable, you get them with the cable. What else can I show you here? Oh, we can plot this. Let's do that. Down here I'm going to plot this on a different background here. I'm just going to do a linear plot, 100 points. We're going to go from 3.2 megahertz to 3.9 megahertz. And you got to put a Y in there to tell it, yes, you want to plot it. And now I'm going to go down here. And that's my plot. There's the 3.2 megahertz. And over here on the right is the 3.9 megahertz. The red line corresponds to the red Z. So notice that has an SWR. I'm reading SWR here in the upper right-hand corner, SWR of 4. So it's almost 4 to 1. Down here, I'm reading the generator. Now look, if you look way down here at the bottom, straight down here, can you see the cursor? I can plot the generator. I can plot looking into T2. I can plot looking into T1. I can plot looking into the load. Right now, I just have the load and the generator on here. And you can see that at this frequency, which is the frequency where I get the best match, approximately 3.58 megahertz, I have an SWR of exactly 1, or as close to 1 as we're going to get. You see that right there. Okay, anybody have any questions on this one?
So,
I'm still getting out. Good. I'm going to stop right there because I think that's probably a decent introduction to SimSmith. Should you want to use it, it's very easy to use. It's handy. A lot of information. And I would show you more, but I got to get rid of this thing at the top of the screen to do it. Let me see if I can move it. Now, if we go over here to help, my cursor's up at the top left there. You will see, let me move this thing more. SimSmith manual. 86TY. And if you go on down, I won't belabor this too much. He gives you a pretty good explanation of what all the parts do. This goes on and on.
I'm not seeing the manual there. You must have it in a different window.
Ah, rats. Anyway, if you go up to help, you'll get it. And rather than me fool around with it, now I'm lost now. Somehow I got out of the program. Let me see if I can do better here. Are you still hearing me?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
we still see the app on the screen.
Yeah, okay. That's about really all I wanted to do. I was going to show you some fine points there, but before I lose the whole thing, I think I'm going to quit. Any last minute questions?
While you're ahead, huh, Frank?
Well, I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. Right. This is my first Zoom presentation, so I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm feeling my way along.
You did good.
Well, you're doing very well.
Okay, let me see if I can get out of this thing now. It says pause share, new share.
Just go down at the bottom where it says share screen, and you could just actually hold on. No, that's not your. Hold on. I think I can take it from you.
Yes.
Yeah, if you can, go ahead. Feel free.
I just
Okay, Alan wants remote control of my screen. I approve. Did you get it?
Yeah, let's see what we got to do here. Let's see. Hold on. Now you got
Frank, while he's doing that, you need some information about your load. How do you get the?
I got it back again. Okay. How do I get? You there, Chuck? Do you see my circuit up here again?
Yeah, I see that now, but I mean, in the real world, I've got an antenna, I've got a load. I need to measure that Z. How do I do it?
If you measure the Z down in your shack and you know how long your cable is and what kind of cable it is, it'll tell you what's on the other end.
Oh, okay.
Well, I find it interesting. Like your first example, just talking about that. You know, there's all these articles published about certain lengths of cable you use based on what frequency you're working in. You know, obviously, you get these phasing issues, I guess, right? Over lengths of cables.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, this would be a great tool to say, hey, I'm going to go out a certain distance. I'm going to ensure that I'm going to get, it's going to be, I'm going to be most effective because you can't see it. That's the problem. That's why this is great. Smith chart's awesome. It gives you the visual understanding of how it's performing. I'm trying to figure out how to release myself here now. Hold on here. Yeah, I know.
Just stop sharing.
I'm trying. There's no stop sharing button, so Frank was right. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Got it. There we go.
Oh, there. Okay.
Frank, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
We'll download that application and have some fun with it because I never knew it existed. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I like it.
I was in college 30 years ago. That would be even better, right? 40 years ago.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
Yes.
I would love to have had a calculator when I went to college.
That fortune, but still how to plot those Smith charts by hand,
Yeah.
A slide rule.
I noticed the ARRL doesn't sell Smith charts in their store anymore.
You try to find the Smith chart paper, right? The grid paper.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They do have some articles though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta fix my hair here. Okay.
And they still sell logbooks too.
I guess we'll move into our meeting now.